Well, good evening, everybody. It's Sunday night here in beautiful snowy Wisconsin and beach-like Maryland, according to my co-host, Mr. John Spencer. And that means that it must be time for Painting with MenothJohn. Welcome, everybody. It's that time again. It's a time to spend an hour with the best darn chat room onto interwebs and paint some stuff and have some shenanigans and release the Kraken. We're going to get started even a little bit earlier than normal. Hey, Ron!
Ron.
And, of course, you just heard my co-host with the host, Mr. John Spencer. Say hello to everybody, John.
Hi, everybody. How's it going?
Hey, we have a fabulous chat room going here. I need some... boy, the delay on Twitch is awesome as usual.
They're taking it up a notch.
Yeah, they're as usual getting themselves up to their normal awesomeness here at Twitch TV. But so yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll get started here. We're kind of kicking things off here today. We're going to be reviewing a few things that we painted last week. We've got the Tac Arcanist Corps that I'll be showing off. I've got some tips on how to not assemble the Earthbreaker. We have some bat reps from a recent visit to Minneapolis. And then I went back to Wisconsin, then I went back to Minneapolis, and then I played some games. That's another story for later on in the show. We have a confrontational review of The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, coming later in the show. And then, of course, Flippity Bloops in the second half hour. So if you're watching the show and you have not submitted your Flippity Bloop, make sure you get to the Painting with MenothJohn site as soon as possible and get your Flippity Bloop out there so that we can Flippity and Bloop, because without those Flippity Bloops, there'd be no Flippity Blooping. So there you go. Take that.
Indeed.
So, how's your week this week, John?
Well, it was a week.
That it was, wasn't it?
Indeed.
I drove to Minneapolis, Minnesota, then I drove back to Wisconsin, then I drove to Minneapolis, Minnesota, and then I drove back to Wisconsin a day later. And it turns out that I have no ability to remember like things like, samples that I'm supposed to be taking to a job while I'm up there. I had my War Machine stuff, but I didn't have my my work stuff.
Uh-oh.
Clearly my priorities are in the right place.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, I want to reach out to the chat room and ask them how things are as far as the volume is concerned. I've gone back to the original setup with the microphones, and hopefully the sound isn't clipping out nearly as bad as what it was. So if you could put in a little something into the chat window to let us know how things are, I would sure appreciate it. All right, well, let's get on with the show here. I got to drink a little bit more Kraken. Smooth as silk. All right, so last week, if you remember on the show, we were painting everybody's favorite stubbies, the new Tac Arcanist Corps, and I tried to do something a little bit different with these guys. As we've talked about on the show a little bit, I've got my airbrush up and running, so I thought I would do my first experiments with object source lighting. In other words, using a painting technique to kind of give it that glow, like there's a fire going on inside their equipment, and it's kind of glowing around them. And I think it turned out pretty okay.
Yeah, they look good.
Yep. So this is the leader model, and as you can see, what I did with the OSL is I came in from a top corner and kind of faded out. I really like how on the leader model how the helmet got a little bit of a highlight on it. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. It turned out pretty okay. Kind of spinning it around here for you, and he'll shake his little tushy on the catwalk for you there. And so that's the leader model, and then these guys over here, I did try to I put white down into the recesses and then airbrushed down towards them, and hoping that would kind of give it a little bit more of a bright spot right where it emanated from. And you can see here on this one that it did that to a certain extent. But I'm just learning, and I figured I'd learn with these guys rather than some big, huge model. And I think I'm pretty happy with the results. So
Yeah, they definitely look good.
yeah. Volume is good. Still my voice, though. Thank you very much for that one there. And then, of course, now we're picking up on the Right Said Fred references are coming up on the chat window, too. So, excellent. So, before we jump into what I'm painting this week, which will be, this is going to be known as the Merry Magnusmas episode, because that's easy to say. Because we're going to be painting a couple of Magnuses and a Renegade. I thought I would start off with how not to assemble the Gordson Earthbreaker. I gotta wait here for the awesome delay to stop, and before the picture of the Earthbreaker comes up. But one of the hazards of dealing with Colossals is that there are very limited instructions that come with them. And by limited, I mean the only instruction that there is a picture showing you approximately where the pieces go. So one of the things that you'll notice about this model when you first look at it is that the feet protrude a solid inch over the 120 millimeter base. That's really awesome. I don't know what I did wrong, because I've seen Earthbreakers before, and I don't remember their feet sticking out over the base, which led to the dilemma of how the hell do you get this model to be on a base if the base doesn't fit on the feet? So, would you like to know what I did, John?
Absolutely, because I'm looking at my box and I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, they have a very specific angle, unless I was supposed to do something different with the bottom of the feet. I don't know. Anyway, they are kicked out at a little bit of an angle. And what I did was, seeing this, I took and I mounted it, and I'm not sure if we're going to be able to see it terribly well, but I mounted about a 1/4 inch threaded screw up through the bottom of the base, put a nut on it, and then I went ahead and routed out drilled out the bottom of the Earthbreaker just deep enough so that when I stuck the rod in it, it suspends the model up into midair at a height equal to where its feet should be. And because I didn't have a flat head bolt, I added a second 120 millimeter base underneath it and cut a hole in the bottom of it to hold the head of the screw so that it would lay flat. So now, when you put it down, the feet are pretty close to being like level with the ground, but I won't get my paint all scraped up.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I see it there. Yeah.
So that's one thing that's going to be unique about this one. I believe that I'm going to name it the Comedy of Errors. The other thing is, now this is a huge deal for those of you who have not put together your Gordson Earthbreaker yet. And I'm going to hopefully get the camera here so y'all can see it. But what I'm looking at here is the torpedo cannon. There's one on either side of it. And the way the torpedo cannon is set up is that it is a one piece that slides through one of the gimbals that holds the arms. And what's unique about that is if you don't mount the torpedo cannon before you mount the gimbal on the side of the torso, guess what you can't do? You can't get the torpedo cannon in because it interferes with the legs down below it. So what I had to do is I actually had to cut mine in half and then slide one half in from one side and one half in from the other side, and then I green stuffed it all back together. That is not how that model is intended to be put together. I cannot imagine.
No.
And I had to do the same thing over here on this side. So, for those of you out there playing along at home, don't do that. Put your torpedo cannons in before you mount the gimbals on the sides of the torso, or else you will be very sad. thankfully, I do most of my modeling with a Dremel. So I just brought out the cutting wheel and cut it in half, and then slid one side in on one side and slid one side in on the other side, and lo and behold, it worked out. So those are my pro tips for how to not incorrectly assemble your Gordson Earthbreaker.
Indeed. Banian asked if you had the legs on upside down.
I don't think so, because the reason I don't think so is I think that this little round part that's up on the top here,
I don't think it's supposed to be on top.
I think that's supposed to be on top, and if I put them upside down, then that would be down below.
Yeah.
So I hope. So hopefully it'll be. Yeah, I did not do a poop rock. I was not going to do poop rocks. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So mine's going to be. I've kind of got a prime axiom without having poop rocks. So.
Yeah. Most of my buddies are not putting the poop rocks on. They're putting on some sort of clear stand or something.
Yeah, I'm just it's going to be way underneath the model, and I'll just paint it black and leave it black, and I don't think and I'll cover up the nut with rocks and sand and stuff. It'll be fine. Nobody will ever notice. Yep. All right. Well, what are you working on tonight? Are you doing any modeling or anything like that?
Oh, I'm just gonna finish up priming this Chimera. It's half primed and it was hand me down, so it had a couple pieces already painted, which I broke off and had to get a new one. And just repriming that, and I'm gonna put some rocks on bases.
Cool. Later on this week, I'm gonna be I owe Ed Defoe a steel sole protector. I think that's what it was. And then I got one of those, and I've got that ready to start assembly later on this week. I also I picked up Eris 3 at the game store. So now I have my Angry Elf. All I need is some infiltrators, and that'll make me happy.
You're lucky. She looks good. Check your Eris 3. Make sure she's got a left arm.
Uh-oh. And then I've got an attendant priest for somebody that I lost a bet when the Green Bay Packers lost to the Detroit Lions. Whoops, what was that? Oh God, is that a small piece?
Yeah.
Holy cripes! That's part of her bow. That's part of an arrow. I have two distinctly different arms.
Lucky. No one in my store had a left arm.
I have two distinctly different arms.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I got it out, and I'm pinning the leg into the body, and I look, and it's like there's only one arm. I need another arm. Oh, no worries. They'll replace it for me and get another one taken care of. And none of the ones in the store have a left arm.
That's awesome. So are you going to do your Eris 3 with hood or without hood?
With hood.
I'm going to do mine with hood, too. Because I don't like her. I don't think she's as hot looking without the hair.
Yeah, that's not my thing.
I always envisioned her as having hair.
Indeed.
So, not that if there's any follically challenged ladies watching the show right now, I want you to know that we respect you and we think highly of you. So, there's Eris 3. Yay. Now all I need is a couple of the House Guard Thanes, and I will be back in the retribution business.
And Assyria. Assyria.
Yeah, she's going to be hot. Okay, well, let's go ahead and let's actually start doing some painting here tonight.
All right. Plus, I hear you've got some battle reports from being up in Minnesota.
I do have some battle reports. So, I was up in Minneapolis on business. And as a part of that, I got a hold of Caleb Huss and Nigel Brooks from the Focus and Fury podcast. And I said, hey guys, what if I bring my stuff up and forget the samples of coffee that I'm supposed to take with me? Could we play some games? And they were like, that'd be sweet. So let's go ahead and do that. And so on Thursday, I met with Caleb and met with Caleb first, and we played 50 points. And he was playing. At first, he was going to play his Harkovich list. He played. Both guys I played against play Khador pretty regularly, if you know him. And he was going to play this Harkovich list that he took third in a local tournament. But he was kind of hating on it, and I was like, well, bud, don't play a bad list, or don't play a list you don't want to play. So he says, okay. So he hauls out Esorsha with a Conquest.
Oh.
So his list was Esorsha, Conquest. He had Winterguard, Rifleman with Joe, I think it was. Or no. His was the infant. He had the regular infantry. So he had the Death Star. He had Rifleman. He had not Rifleman. Infantry. Joe. He had 3 rockets. He had the Great Bears. I think what else he had. But it was a pretty darn good list. I played my Epic Fiora list. So Epic Fiora, Judicator, Rovan and his Honor Guard, Ayana and Holt. Let's see, what else is in that list? 3 Bastions, the Bastion Seneschal. Let's see. Zealous with the UA, and Temple Flame Guard with the UA. And I was cleaning his clock. There was very little he could do against me, and we were playing chicken with our Colossals. And then I derped. And as you know in this game, you make one wrong move, and it can sometimes be the game for you. And what ended up happening was I had my TFG sitting behind my Zealots, and the idea was to use the TFG that if my Zealots got jammed up, I could bring them in to clear them out. Well, I got a little too in love with that strategy, and what ended up happening was I ran my Bastion Seneschal up next to the Conquest, because I'm saying, haha, I've got a medium base, you can't charge my Adjudicator. Well, turns out that with Esorsha's Bond, that Seneschal went stationary, which, even if it's engaged, a stationary Bastion Seneschal, pretty easy to kill.
Yeah.
And so he got shot to death, and then she popped her feet. Here comes the Conquest with double over armor damage into my Adjudicator, and the first hit did 44 damage.
Oh.
The first hit did 44 damage. He then followed it up with another one that did like 24. So he two-shot my Adjudicator. I've never lost Bullwinkle that fast. It was just insanity. So that game ended horribly, and there was no coming back from it. I tried, and I hot swapped Ignite around a couple of times and stuff like that, and but it was all for naught. The second game that I played, so the moral of that story is that do a better job with protecting Judicator in that situation, because I just didn't. I could have ran all that TFG up and jammed up in there, and it would have prevented him from. I wouldn't have been able to give him any place to land. And then Judicator gets the Alpha Strike, and Judicator would have been Power Strength 26.
I hear that works.
Yep. I wouldn't have two-shot him, but he would have been dead before I ran out of focus, for sure. So the next game that I played was against Nigel, who is a very accomplished player. Nigel is an excellent Khador player. However, he was suffering from a major handicap in this game. His list was designed by PhatAsian. So here's a pro tip to all of you Khador players out there. Don't let Protectorate players make lists for you.
Indeed.
The list was Vlad won. Okay, it starts out good. Vlad won. Gotcha. Cool. Signs importance. It's a thing. But it tries to be cute, the rest of the list. He puts in 2 decimators, which are the gun jacks that have rate of fire 2 guns and beat back on their guns.
Yeah.
He
We talked about Friday, I think, on Mom.
Yep. And this is the list that they talk about on that Friday Mom. And all right, and it's so they got that going for it, and then there is Winter Guard Rifle Corps with Joe, and they have the Great Bears, and it's got the new junior warcaster. God, what's his name? Dushkov.
Yeah, okay.
Dushkov. And the idea, and he is running one of the decimators, and Vlad is running the other decimator. Well, I decided that I was going to run my Efiora list again, and this time, things worked out a whole lot better. I had I had the TFG on one side, and he also had the ponies, the light cavalry.
The Outriders?
Yep, the Outriders. And so he had the Outriders on one flank, and I had the Zealots flanking them, on the same side as them, and then I had the TFG coming up on the other side. And the way that it worked out was he had to boundless charge both of the decimators to get into Judicator, and they were incapable of putting him down. Left him with 9 boxes, and things went poorly for him after that. Judicator killed both decimators in one activation with a crippled arm.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I harmed the one that had on the side with the crippled arm, and I took and let's see, what else did I do? I hit it with a couple of bastions, and then I hit it one. I auxiliary attacked once, I think, just to get, and then after that it was dead. So it was. I made pretty quick work of it, and then I punched the other one to death pretty easily.
Yeah, Colossals versus regular Jacks is not terribly fair.
Yep. And meanwhile, Roven and their honor guard were having their way with the Great Bears, and because POW 11 weapon masters hitting an armor 16 or 14 they don't like that so much.
Yeah, not so much on that.
And I ended up winning that game on assassination. I dirt napped Vlad when I hit him first with a bastion, and then I hit him with, I want to say the bastion seneschal dirt napped him. So yeah, it's a thing. So moral of the story is, don't let Protectorate players make Khador lists. They're not good at it.
Work out the same, yeah.
They're not that good at it. So I owed it to Caleb to throw PhatAsian underneath the bus on the show tonight.
Sounds like you had a good time up there.
I had a great time. We did an episode of Focus and Fury, so if you can't wait a whole week to get your MenothJohn fix, Focus and Fury, I'll be on Focus and Fury on one of the upcoming episodes.
I think so.
Yeah, listen, Haradu's not. Now I'm just bragging. No, I'm not bragging.
I only got one game in this week myself.
Okay, what'd you play?
Friday night I was playing Ron.
Hey, Ron! Shit, I'm out of Kraken. I got some New Glarus spotted cow, so here we go.
Yep, and me and Centervale, who's not currently in the chat room, was made the list up on the fly because don't have a list made up, and especially not for 50 points like my opponent wanted to play.
Okay.
So I surround, unit of battle mages,
Sure.
Invictors, Sentinels,
Nice.
Chimera Phoenix, 2 Thanes.
Nice.
And he came forward. He had Silverline, regular Storm Guard, a Charger, Rowdy, Striker 2,
Mm-hmm.
and Gun Mages, and then Alexia with the ranking officer.
Okay.
And we had the stare down between the Silverline and the Sentinels with Larry feels they can't be charged.
Yep.
And he blinked first by popping his feet, went in there, had a couple mediocre rolls and didn't kill enough.
Yep.
So I killed the crap out of a bunch of them. The 2 Jester Thanes didn't kill a lot, but they tanked the entire unit of Storm Guard on the side.
They'll do that.
Yeah, it turns out dice -7, you don't take a lot of damage from when they don't get charges.
Yep. I mean, and those, they have unyielding, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Armor 19, right?
Indeed.
Yep, that's the thing.
And then I managed to. Rowdy had walked up and punched the Phoenix, but rolled kind of poor for damage and just dinged his force field. So I moved him out, got him in a better position. Phoenix walked in, killed him.
Wow.
I got 1 Sentinel on him too, who rolled pretty fire damage, but I think would have killed him anyways.
PwMJ Weapon Masters, I mean, if they get to charge, it is sad times.
Yeah, I didn't get the charge. I had to walk in because the Silverline were still there in some cases, and the ones I wanted to get in on, I couldn't charge. So I walked in and still ended up rolling like 655 for damage.
Nice dice prayer. Super awesome.
Then he managed to clear, like, his gun may just go on fire and just killed just the right dudes.
Mm-hmm.
To clear a hole. He thunderbolts the Phoenix just enough. Striker goes right through the gap. Takes a free strike from the Phoenix for a bunch of damage. Basically leaving him with 12 boxes.
Nice.
He goes for the 2 dice overload. Rolls 6 for extra power, making 21. 11 for damage.
Nice.
1 hit point. And then promptly rolls 2-2-1 to hit and misses.
Oh, that's awesome.
He buys another one, goes to hit, connects, and it does 11 damage, but I don't care at that point.
Yep.
So I just move into base, line him up with my Phoenix, wishing it would give me Arcane Secrets, and I just force hammer him and bounce him off the Phoenix.
Awesome.
Continuing my tradition of face tanking with ret crafters who shouldn't face tank.
Yeah, I hear that face tanking with Ron is not always the most sound strategy, but it seems like to be something you've brought to a whole new level.
Yeah, I face tanked Sorsha several times with both Raven and with Gareth. I face tanked Magnus once with Gareth. And apparently, it's just what I do.
Speaking of Magnus, I'm on to his cloak at this point.
Yeah, with the purple to bring it in with the rest of your mercs.
Yeah. It's turning out pretty cool.
Yeah.
I need to put him down here, though, in just a minute because it's almost that time.
Indeed.
Where did that first half hour go? That's what I want to know. Right into the old internet, I think it went.
Yep. Well, our new tradition of battle reports.
Yeah.
This next week might be a little light.
It's going to be hard.
Get in.
Yep. Maybe we'll have battle reports about what happened at dinner. I'm having dinner with my girlfriend's family.
Oh, excellent.
It's nice. My regular family is my biological family is down in Ohio, and with the way my custody works, it's just not possible for me to get down there. So Belinda invited me, and she's got an awesome family. So it's super cool. We're gonna have a good time. I'm gonna introduce them to Cards Against Humanity.
Excellent.
Because
I can't bring that. My sister's a little too religious for that now.
You don't want to explain pixelated bukkake to her, huh?
No, I don't want to explain to my mom.
You don't want to you don't want to hit the Pac-Man card at the wrong time, right?
Plus, my youngest niece is going to be there, and she's only like 11.
Well, there is that. That's
yeah.
That's a prudent move. I support that.
Looks like Brent Painter played a game today.
Oh my God! You better.
Nice.
You better, because if he
on Saturday, he was all, "Oh, I hit a deer on Friday. My car was okay, but I don't want to come out anymore."
Oh my God!
I was waiting for him.
Tell you what, if he's going to be one of my nuts, he better suck it up.
I just don't give him crap.
All right. Is he in the chat room?
He is.
Oh God. There is a God. Okay, so let's. It's the second half hour of Painting with MenothJohn. That can mean only one thing. That means, first off, it's time to release the Kraken. So, hey, Ron!
Ron.
We may need to break this into, like, multi 15-minute segments so that I can release the Kraken more frequently.
Nothing's stopping you from releasing it extra time.
That is true. That is true. It is my show, and I can release my Kraken as frequently as I care to.
Absolutely.
But it is that special time that we know as Flippity Bloop. So, why don't you start us off there, buddy? What do we got for Flippity Bloop?
All right, well, I'm going to do this out of order because it seems a little more appropriate.
Yep.
I'll just start with Scott Hebel II, who asked, "Explain Ron for me." I'm not trying to give you some crap for not knowing.
Okay, Ron is an 8-focus caster for Retribution. No, okay, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to be a jerk. Okay.
He's good at face-taking Epic Striker.
Yeah, he is a boss at face-taking Epic Striker, but I don't think that's what he's looking for in this with this question. Okay, so where did the drinking game / salute Ron come from? I think is what he's really asking.
Yeah.
So it dates back to my days back on Lost Hemisphere Radio. For those of you who don't know where all this got started, I might as well do the whole origin story. Chris Miller and I were asked to be a part of the Guts and Gears podcast that Sam Sedgy had. It's one of the kind of the first podcasts back in the day. And we were at TempleCon 2010, and we were interviewed for it. And after the interview was over, Chris and I looked at each other and said, well, we can do this. And so we decided to start a podcast, and that podcast became known as Lost Hemisphere Radio. And when Chris and I were doing episodes, and we were doing episodes based on different factions and the like, and we got to Retribution. And we were talking about the different casters, and we were talking about Ron. So we did like almost a whole episode just on the Warcaster Ron. And we said Ron so many times that it started to feel like a drinking game. So it was on a subsequent episode that we turned to each other and said, we should just turn this into a drinking game. And so, me, all never willing to back down from a challenge, goes, yeah, we could do that. And every time that someone would say Ron on the show, we would go, hey, Ron! And like it was a drinking game. And that is where it started from. So why the significance of Ron? There is no significance to Ron. It just happened to be the lucky caster. It's a single syllable, so it makes it easy to say. And therefore, the whole thing was started. And we were at TempleCon the next year, and people would be coming up to us and going, hey, Ron! And buying us beer and things like that, so it kind of stuck. But that is where Ron came from. And if you go back in the archives of Lost Hemisphere, probably somewhere in the teens, for episodes maybe even a little bit older, you can find the episode that it came from. I actually went back to try and find where that actually, the first Ron came from, the first drinking Ron, and honestly, I couldn't figure it out. So, but I didn't spend a lot of time on it either. So, anyway, so Flippity Bloop.
All right. The next one is Brent Painter actually asking battle reports. What is this, Mom?
No, we don't make bad list suggestions on Painting with MenothJohn. So this is in no way Muse on Minis.
Indeed. And we've been doing battle reports for a couple weeks now, Brett. If you're listening to the show all the time, you know that.
Yep, Brett. If you would listen to the show more often, you might actually be a guest sometime. But if you're not going to pay attention, it shows that you're not showing the kind of dedication that we need from the people that we consider chat room legends. So I'm sorry, but you just need to stay up to date with things or suffer the consequences. Flippity Bloop.
All right. Next question is from Alan Green.
Yep.
Let's see.
Not Alan Green's
question. But he's like, since you said Kraken was so good, I had to go out and try it. It's amazing. But now do you feel bad that I have to pay $34.99 for a 26-ounce bottle?
Absolutely not. I don't feel, and I believe he mentioned that it was Canadian that he was having to pay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're Canadian. Sympathy ends at the borderline. No, just kidding. But I don't want to disparage our friends from the north because I've had some very good people who have bought me lots of drinks from the north, and I appreciate those people very much. No, I mean, come on, let's face it. I'm going to put up here on the camera just so you all can see the size of the bottle of Kraken that I'm nipping from, and then I'm going to turn it around so that you can see how much is left. That used to be a full bottle at one point. My sister gave, well, it was mostly full, and my sister gave it to me. Now I'm going to put a Gordson Earthbreaker next to it for scale, just so you can see how ridiculously huge that bottle of Kraken is. So I'm sure that after this gets used up, I'll have to go to the packaged liquor store here in Racine, Wisconsin, and buy a new bottle of Kraken, and I'm sure that will make me sad as well. So there you go. No, the answer to the question, long story short, no sympathies for the expensive Krakens, because it is distilled joy. And really, can we put a price on that?
No, you can't.
Well, there you go. There is a bottle of Kraken. There's an Earthbreaker. All right. So, kind of whipping through these a little bit fast. Have you ever bought any Kraken in the store yourself?
Not yet. Every time I go by, that place is closed.
Oh my God, it's delightful. It really is. It's a Cadillac rum. Let me tell you what it is. I think it's a lot better than Captain Morgan's. It's technically a spiced rum, and I think it's a lot better than Captain Morgan's. So, why don't we go ahead and flip that bloop?
All right. The next question is from Declan Lowry.
Yep.
He asks, "Watt is the unit of electricity?"
Yes.
Indeed.
So, not Jason Watt, by the way. We're not saying that Jason Watt is a unit of energy, although he has a lot of energy.
He's not playing Signar yet.
No. No, he's not, and that would be an electrical kind of thing for him. But that's very Watt. Yes, W-A-T-T. Very good. Flippity and the bloops.
All right. Jason Belsha says, "What have you ever bought that you regretted mere minutes later, i.e. models, assorted snacks, and drinks?"
Okay, well, let's take these one at a time because we have gone through these a little bit quick, and this will help us fill some time. So let's take each category. Let's go with models first. I regretted the Flamebringers nearly the second I bought them. I don't know why I did it. I think that it could have been War Machine Weekend alcohol-related judgment issues. They're just not going to be good. I don't know why. They're frickin' cavalry. They're going to be hard to paint. I know I regret them. So I would have to say the Flamebringers are instant regret on my part. What about you?
I'm thinking probably that Crick slot I bought at our Bazaar. I spent the money and I'm like, what am I going to do with this stuff?
What is it?
I was Gatsby 2, Denny 2, Nightmare, 2 pistol rates, a Scarlock Thrall, the dice, and the rulebook.
Darn. I have everything but Nightmare. I would have bought it from you.
Oh, it's already gone.
Oh, it's already gone? Good.
Yep. Really, that's what I did with it. I kept the book. I gave my wife the dice. Bowie, if he's out there, got the 2 casters of Nightmare. And I gave the pistol race to one of our locals who just started. And the Scarlet Troll got wrapped up as one of the White Elephant gifts last week.
Nice. Excellent.
So that's what I did. But
there you go. I'm not sure what color I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna make Magnus kind of coal black with for his hair. I'm make it coal black, and then I'm gonna highlight it. So anyway, I was having a moment of indecision there. So now that was our model pickup. What were some of the other ones that were suggested?
Snacks and drinks.
Okay, drinks. Oh god. Okay, so I'm going to go back to War Machine Weekend, not this last one, but the one before. I almost immediately regretted the orange drink that someone made for me. It was made out of basically Fanta and 151.
Oh my!
I started to, I could feel it in my legs as I started to drink it, and I went, oh, this is not going to end well. And I was right. It didn't end well. It ended up with me on the floor of the bathroom at the hotel in St. Louis, and there wasn't much left in my stomach, and I wouldn't have been surprised to see my shoes come out of my throat. So that was bad, and I was very thankful that I didn't repeat that little performance this year, let me tell you, because that is some bad stuff. So that was my regret. You got anything that you regret from a drink standpoint?
Yeah, not really. I don't drink alcohol too much. When I do, I tend to be very safe.
There you go.
I guess the closest was this candy cane martini at our Christmas party last year.
That does sound horrifying.
The other ones were so good, like the s'mores one was so good. I'm like, oh, I'll try this one. It was just a little, ugh.
Is there a particular soda pop that you've drank that you went, oh my god, what the hell was I thinking? Have you ever had any of the Jones sodas that are popular that used to be popular during the holidays?
No, not really. I mean, all I've had is going, oh, Cherry Coke Zero. Like, come on, that's got to taste just like Cherry Coke and be healthier.
Nope.
Oh, Lord.
Nope.
Not so much.
Nope. The Jones sodas are famous for tasting like turkey or like, yeah, like stuffing. They had like a stuffing flavor, I think, one year. They are just as disgusting as that sounds. Do not think you're going to be hipster and cool by drinking the turkey soda. You're not. You're just dumb. Stop it.
Don't even know. I was just thinking about it.
Do not encourage them. You're asking for trouble. So, let's see. Now, snacks. I never had the Olestra potato chips, but I can imagine a fair amount of. Oh, I know it. I got it. Okay, Fiber One makes a chewy granola bar that I ate 3 of one time. And let me tell you a little something about them. They have something in them called chicory root extract, and it is their claim to fame is that they're high fiber, of course. You know, the Fiber One, just as the name would suggest. Well, this stuff, I don't know what the deal is with it, but it has a remarkably potent effect upon my gastrointestinal system. And the gas that I got from these things literally rivals anything that comes out of my dog's rear end. It is epic, just beyond epic. And I couldn't believe how much gastrointestinal distress I had just from that. So I would have to say Fiber One bars, and it was so bad I'm actually going to finish this shot of Kraken over it.
Well, my store got these like meat sticks and cheese packs, and I'm like,
ooh,
meat stick and cheese. How bad can it be?
It does sound delightful on the outside.
It's just it tasted like chewing and ass.
It tastes like chewing ass.
Chewing and ass. I mean, it was just like,
oh my god.
It wasn't like vomit worthy. It was just horrible.
That's remarkable. That's really hysterical.
It was so bad, the look on my face, the store owner offered to refund my money.
That's some good stuff right there. I love how this model's painting up, by the way. Just putting that out here. Anyway.
It's coming together.
Yeah. Okay, so that was that Flippity Bloop. So do we have any others?
We do.
Nice.
Joseph Merrick asks, what are the top 5 hopes and fears of vengeance?
Oh boy. Okay, well let's pass it back and forth on this one. Okay, hopes. I hope that the new protectorate Guardian of Renown has reach. What's what yeah, now is your turn.
Um, gotta hope appearance is as good as old Rowdy.
Oh, that's a good hope. That's a good hope. Now let's do a fear. We'll do a bunch of these because we've got time to kill. Are there more? Are there more flippity bloops after this one?
There's one more from the chat room.
Okay, that's cool. Well, we'll do that one. Well, even if we run a little long, that's fine. Okay, so my next one would be my a hope is that uh, that my good buddy Resnick 2 has the rack rule built into him as a passive ability. In other words, so long as he has a focus on him, he cannot that ranged attacks automatically miss. Not just magic, not just non-magical, but all ranged attacks automatically miss.
That would be pretty legit.
That would make him really survivable. And I don't think it's a pipe dream, because it's fluffy. Okay.
Sure. So mine's a fear that the mercenaries aren't going to get anything good aside from attack in the book.
I bet you're right. Well, I mean, when did Gobbo Tinker come out? He's a minion, I know that, but
yeah, he was in
the okay, he was in the Gargantuan book. Okay, I think that's unfortunately really possible that Mercs are going to kind of get the screws put to them on this one. Let's see. I'm going to do a fear then. Since you did a fear, I'll do a fear. I fear that. Let's see. Rhett's getting a lot of stuff that nobody else is getting. So I fear that the Protectorate will get an alternate unit type for Temple Flame Guard that will be simply not as good as regular Temple Flame Guard. It'll be just like the opposite of the Black Dragons.
Yeah.
Black Dragons are amazing.
Yeah.
That was kind of a cop-out, though, because, I mean, we've had nothing that would indicate that they're going to get anything related like that, but...
Still, it's a fear that you get a brand new thing, and it makes them worse than the basic unit.
Yeah, yep. Okay, what's your fear?
I hope that they put the Toro out in Vengeance.
Oh my god, that would be great.
And tacked on top of that, I really hope that we get Rex. Because I love Rector and Terran.
Rex is going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
They're not great, but I play them anyways. Damn it, I deserve it.
Rex is going to happen. This is MenothJohn prediction time. So you all can just write this stuff down because it's that I'm feeling it. Okay, I've had almost like a vision right now after hearing that, and take it to the bank. Rex is going to happen, and it's not going to be on this book, but it's going to come. It's probably the next book. So here's my hope, because it's right along those lines, that the Vindictus's character Reckoner, I believe it was called the Blessing of, I forget what it was called. It was in the fluff from one of the books, but when he came out, I believe it was the Forces book, he had a character Reckoner, and that he's going to come out in this book. And I think that would be amazing. Wouldn't that be cool though, John, if they put a character and one of renown for each faction in the book?
That would be good. I'd like to see what Rex could get for a renown jack. That could be very interesting.
It could be very interesting because, and I bet you they're going to get one.
Brett Painter says it was Refuter of Heresy.
That's right. That's the one. There, he added value to the podcast. He can now be on the nuts.
He said he won a game earlier today against Sigma. Yeah. So.
Remember, Brett, that even a blind cow finds grass occasionally.
think that's all of my hopes and fears. They're pretty well distilled into that. I mean, seen so much good red stuff.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you heard, but at War Machine Weekend, Privateer was pretty vocal and open about the fact that this is Rhett's book. This is the book that Rhett comes and is brought to have the toys that some of the other factions have. And I am looking for, I mean, from what we've seen so far from Eris 3 and from the House Guard thing,
and the Infiltrators.
And the Infiltrators, and what the promise of Assyria, is that her name?
Yep.
Has, I think that we're staring down the barrel of something very special.
Well, speaking of Assyria, that brings us to another last-minute Flippity Bloop.
Okay.
And that is from Nathan Hoffman.
Oh, what?
Yeah. And he said, hopefully, fake Assyria spoilers claim she has distraction. If true, how bullshit is having that spell with an arc node?
Distraction. Now,
Ashley.
talk to me about what is distraction?
Distraction, you cast it on a unit and they can't, let's see, they get -2 rats. Let's see, here it is. -2 defense and that, and can't make range attacks.
Holy cow.
It's warrior model unit, but still, that would be so good.
Can you imagine dropping that on the Winter Guard Death Star?
I believe I need new shorts now.
Mind explode. Holy
Honestly,
cow.
And it's funny because that's like a spell that I think Rhett could need, because I've found a lot of times you get those super high defenses, you don't have an answer. If it's like inherent, like, say, Eliminators or PhatAsian assassins, it's just hard to hit them. You know, it's not like I ignore Iron Flesh, sure, but
Oh my god.
still a huge defense.
Yep. Oh, that is just mind explode. If I could have had that in that game with Caleb, you know, obviously that's Protectorate I was playing, but what an amazing spell when you have access to good arc nodes the way that the way Red has too. That's amazing. I want to thank Nathan for coming on the show, for coming to the show and contributing in the chat window too. Thanks a lot, Nate. It's great to have you here. I haven't seen you on here before, and love the podcast. And if it wasn't for Crippled System, I would have gone absolutely insane on the drive back and forth to Minneapolis all those times. I am fully caught back up on the show. Also, if anyone has any hints on what's his face's fetish is, I would love to take. I would be happy to field any guesses as a part of my show, even though he's not here to confirm them.
You save those just for when I'm starting to drink?
Sorry about that.
That's okay. He also points out that the distraction is not an upkeep spell. It's just offensive. You could.
Oh my God! You can spam it.
Yeah.
And she's probably gonna be 8 focus or higher.
Rumor had her at 7.
7?
There's a thread with rumors on the mom forums.
Okay.
Early today. I wouldn't put a lot of validity in them. They seem kind of weird, but who knows?
Well, given the fact that she doesn't have any offensive weapons, I think 7's low.
Well, yeah, that same rumor had her with ancillary attack.
Oh my. Oh my.
So her with the Hyperion? Sure, I'll take another power 18 alien 5. Why not?
Wow. Okay, that's just knuckin' fuds.
It seems kind of wishful thinking, but
yeah, we all thought the House Guard thing was wishful thinking until it happened too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sounds good. If Nate wants to confirm any of these things, because he is the highest scoring judge in Privateer Press judge history, he probably has an inside line on some of these things. So if he wants to confirm some of these things, that would be just awesome.
We got 2 more Flippity Bloops to go.
Yay! People are just adding Flippity Bloops. That's fantastic.
So we'll go with Bania from the chat room.
Okay.
What are your thoughts about the Bane Cavalry? I guess going to be our thoughts. We're both John.
Yeah, well, John, why don't you take this one first? I'm always leading off, and I feel like I'm being a little egotistical by always leading off. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what you think of the Bane Cav first?
Well, I like to get most of the models, so I'm much more upbeat and positive on most models. I think they're pretty solid. I mean, reach all the time. They got a good PAL. They're tough to kill. You know, they're ghostly, so they want no free strikes and basically a super pathfinder.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Curse on demand.
Yeah. It has a lot of sneaky uses. Even if you don't get extra distance from it, who cares? It's still +2 to hits.
Yep. I hear you. So that's some very positive things to say about them. Okay, I'll play bad cop. Okay, my personal problem with them is the same problem that all Crix has with all models. Is what does it compete with in the same price category? And there is some pretty amazing stuff in that you can get for 11 points. Are they 10 or 11?
They're 11. They're heavy cavalry.
Okay. There's some pretty amazing stuff that you can get for 11 points in Crix. I mean, let's just be honest about it. The other thing I would note is that, okay, here, the problem I see with most heavy cav that heavy cav that has guns seems to me to be just inherently better than heavy cav that doesn't have guns. Case in point, I know people hate the Desters, the Dawnguard Desters, but I think they're amazing, and I've had really good luck with them. Having the ability to two-shot if you stand still, or single shot with good rat, is pretty darn amazing. The Dester Thane is the same type of a thing, where you have the ability to get 4 shots with rat 9 if you're standing still. So they don't have guns. I think that's bad. I understand why they don't have guns, because Crix should have the shittiest guns that ever existed all the time, because they're Crix. And they have too many debuffs. You start putting guns in their hands and they start becoming OP right now. Not that they weren't already OP, but they become super OP. So that's my thoughts. Are they serviceable? Yes. Are they better than Soul Hunters? Boy. Soul Hunters can go incorporeal. And that's kind of a thing. So I'm not too worried about them, because I don't think I'm going to see many of them. One thing I can always count on from my Crix players is not having much of an imagination. So I'll just not worry about them until I see them. So, Flippity Bloop.
All right. The last one, again from Nathan Hoffman, is why didn't we go to Memorial Union together last summer?
Oh, God, Nate. Because I suck. For those of you who don't know what Memorial Union is there is a student union right on Lake Mendota in Madison, which is the lake that the University of Wisconsin at Madison is built on. It is absolutely beautiful, and it is some of the finest of all babe watching. Now that Nate is engaged and I'm in a relationship, this complicates everything. So while we can still go to the union, we will have to be far more pure and not look at anybody. And I say that 100% given the fact that Belinda is sitting about 10 feet behind me right now. So Nate, we should definitely not go to the union next summer. Definitely not should do that. That's code. So hey, you know what? That is exactly a half hour of Flippity and Bloop. And that brings us to the amazing third half hour of the show, which we're going to get to as soon as I put a little bit of silver here on these gun shells. Belinda's reading something. I'm not sure what she's reading behind me. What are you reading, Belinda? Smithsonian Magazine. There you go. She has the smarts, that one.
Well, I've got one quick extra tip.
Sure.
If you buy the Privateer Press pinning and drill bit kit, and you get the one that's 0.85 millimeters, that drill bit is crap. Just go buy one off of Amazon or something. You know, just buy a different drill bit, because that one's crap.
There you go. There, now we've said something anti-privateer press on the show. We can move on with our lives.
Hey, the 1.25 milliliter one was fine, works good.
Yep.
Just that smaller one is crap.
Hey, have you listened to the Primecast yet?
I did not listen to the first episode because I didn't hear great things about it. But I listened to the second one; it was pretty decent.
I've heard the second one is certainly a step in the right direction.
So actually going to what I was going to do later, but I was listening to Clockwork Vox, which is a relatively new podcast.
I love those guys.
Yeah, they're great. They weigh in at just the right length, too.
Yup.
It's about a half an hour, 45 minutes, like perfect. And they mentioned that they did not like the first one, so I skipped it. And then they mentioned the second one was decent, so I listened to it.
Yep. I'll tell you what, and JR and Shaver are as nice a guys as you'd ever want to meet. Love those guys, and I'm very happy that they're doing their show. So if you haven't looked, guys out there, brushheads, if you haven't listened to Clockwork Vox, I highly recommend Clockwork Vox.
Yep, and send them emails. They don't get a lot of emails. They read mine out last time because I think I was the only one they got.
I need to do that. I need to send them an email telling them how much I love their show, and that if they want to be a real podcast, they need to have me on as a guest, because the only way they can be a real podcast is if they have the Podfather as a guest.
Yep. And they ask a question every week, so it actually is a little interactive, not quite as interactive as we are at the real time, but it's still pretty cool.
Yep. What is the current question? Do we know?
Let's see here. Let's see, what was that last question? I know I answered it. I think it was on building lists.
Okay.
It was, do you build lists to answer questions or ask questions, and sort of how do you make your pairs?
Gotcha.
Is it like one list and then just tack one on or what have you? I think that was it.
Do they put on their website at all what the current question is?
I don't know. I just listen to all of this at work. So when they do their question, I literally just email myself at home so I remember to respond to it.
Nice. I listened to every episode that they've made so far on the way back and forth to Minneapolis this week, and I was super impressed with their show. So, folks, brushheads, if you listen to podcasts, I think they're one of the best up and coming podcasts out there. They've got amazing sound quality. They've got good tips. They're not negative. I didn't find them negative. Did you, John?
No, they're really positive for the most part. They have great camaraderie together. And like I said, the time is right. There's too many 2 and 3 hour podcasts. Getting one in just like 45 minutes is great.
Yep, I think it's well overdue. Kudos to JR and to Alex for their awesome job on the Clockwork Vox.
Yeah.
So, all right, now we've had the positivity. Let's talk about the Hobbit.
Oh, do you want to break out the crack?
Oh my God, I got to get some cracking out. I started painting this knee brace on frickin' Magnus here, and I lost track of my booze, which is totally unacceptable. Behind me, there's a heated game of Firefly going on. As soon as this is over with, we're going back to Firefly, I think. Or we're going to watch Love Actually, one of the two. Love Actually, a movie better than The Hobbit. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here we have, here's our, hope you all out there have a little something to drink with, and here you go. Ron, hey!
On.
Smooth as liquid sandpaper. Let's see what we got here. Speculations with MenothJohn. I like that idea. If we don't have a battle report, we can do speculations with MenothJohn. That'd be pretty good.
Indeed.
Okay. Aww. Reggie fan said he loved me. Aww, that's so nice. I love you too. Can't wait to see your fuzzy little butt one of these days. Let's see, what else? Yeah, I've actually met Alex and JR. I've met JR several times. And JR is just super awesome guy. So, anyway. So, let's talk about, we're into the movie or TV review section of Painting with MenothJohn, because that's somehow related to miniatures painting.
Yeah.
So, I went to see The Desolation of Smaug, or however you pronounce it. and I think it is was I went with Belinda. Belinda and I looked at each other after that movie was over, and we asked each other how we were going to get that 2.5 hours back in our life. And the answer to that question is we can't get that 2.5 hours back into our life. Um, you and I have differing views on this,
We do.
and so I guess I should probably start with. Why don't we start with saying some good things about it? Should we start with a good thing or should we start with the bad things?
We'll start with the good things.
Okay, let's start with the good things. Um, the design on Smaug was that's the funniest thing to say in history, by the way. The character design on the dragon was amazing. It was absolutely beautiful. This dragon that they designed, it was had character. The voicing by Benjamin Cumberbatch was amazing. He was. I think that they did a lot to bring through the flavor of the how Tolkien created dragons, which were as these avarice-driven creatures, almost forces of nature, and I think that was done very well. I said something nice about the Hobbit, and you say something nice about it.
The whole scene between him and Bilbo was amazing.
I don't disagree with that. I do not disagree with that. I think that was pulled off quite well. What was your favorite parts of that?
Just I don't know, just the way Bilbo, was obviously overwhelmed but still kept his cool. I mean, it's actually more of a continuation of his whole personal character development from Frady Hobbit to legitimately a hero.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I'm going to see if I can come up with another good thing to say about the Hobbit. Let's see.
Didn't like the barrel scene?
Oh, no, we're going to talk about that. You're baiting me now. So, let's...
Bard? Do you like Bard at all?
Remind me of Bard. I thought the character of Bard was done pretty well.
Yeah, he was good.
I thought he was done very well. I think that it was. I found his story and his family compelling. I enjoyed the interaction between his family and the dwarves. I like the way that they worked that whole angle. I thought that was good. I think that the interaction between Bard and the town kind of leadership and stuff, the master, was done pretty well. Although I'm not trying to be negative. I don't want to bring negative into the good things we're talking about. The character of the master's little toady was a little too Grima Wormwood for me.
Yeah, he was a bit more.
He actually even kind of looked like Grima Wormwood, which I found a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, it could have been a little more original, could have been different,
But I think overall, I would say pretty good job on that character. Do you have tell me a good thing?
Well, to be honest, I like most of the movie.
Okay.
I'm just gonna do my quick note. I haven't read The Hobbit in probably 30 years.
This explains so much.
Yeah, I figured it would. It's been a while.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, well, you haven't read it in 30 years, and you like most of the movie. I think that if a person has not read The Hobbit, or has not read it in a really long time, that your reaction is perfectly understandable. What you have is, with The Hobbit, is a very good action flick. It has a lot of interesting twists and turns as far as its action is concerned. If you didn't know what you were looking at, the barrel scene where they make the escape from the Wood Elves is full of action, a lot of very frenetically paced action sequences with the different elves and dwarves. Okay, so right now, folks, here on Pending with MenothJohn, I don't want to drive away any of our watchers or anything like that, but we're going to go spoilerific. Okay, so I hate to say go away because we don't want you to go away. We love you here on Painting with MenothJohn, but we can't do what we're about to do unless we talk about the movie. So you have been warned. Fast forward, I don't know, 15 minutes if you don't want to hear spoilers of The Hobbit. So you've been warned. Anyway, so okay, I can tell you the exact moment this movie lost me.
Okay.
I can tell you the exact moment, and the exact moment is when Bomber, right? That's the big fat ginger one. When he bursts out of the barrel with dual wielding what appeared to be some type of weapon, and I realized at that point that Guillermo del Toro had a writing credit in this movie. He jumped out of the barrel. He was a friggin' Jaeger.
He was wearing the barrel like arm with arms out the side, spinning around, chopping.
He was a Jaeger. And I went, really? Because I love me some Pacific Rim. We all know that he was a Jaeger.
It was maybe the scene in that, the part of that scene that I felt kind of didn't fit, but I still enjoyed the heck out of it.
The
I was
fact
going to say that The Hobbit is more a movie based on the book The Hobbit, not an adaptation of the book The Hobbit.
Okay, that'll buy. That'll buy. Okay, if they had been that honest,
yeah,
you would not be hearing me rant the way that I'm going to rant right now.
I really think all the Lord of the Rings movies have been. They just didn't want to say that for fear of driving people away.
No. You can say that. You can say that and be wrong. The problem. I'm just joking. The thing that in the Lord of the Rings novels, he added things to the book, and he deleted things from the book. And I will say, in that movie, he made excellent choices over what to add and what to delete. I think he made shockingly irresponsible choices in this movie as far as what to add and what to delete.
To be honest, I cribbed my expectations as soon as they split it into 3 movies.
Well,
So if you're going to make 3 movies that are like an hour and 45, maybe one of them's a 2-hour-long movie, sure. But all of them at his standard length, I knew they were going to add a ton of stuff, so I hunkered down and got ready.
No, and that was a smart move. That was really a bright move on your part. There was no question that when they announced it was going to be 3 movies, that we were going to see an awful lot of stuff that wasn't in the books. I just think that much like how the Matrix went off the rails in the 2nd and 3rd book, I think this movie did a similar thing. Yeah. And, when Belinda and I were watching the show, we looked at each other and we went, this movie could have been 25 minutes long had they stuck to the movie. I mean, stuck to the book. And they just didn't. There was a lot that was made up of whole cloth, like any interaction with Radagast the Brown. There was stuff that was...
that stuff sort of from the Silmarillion, sort of like telling the story from that?
Yes, but even with saying that it's from the Silmarillion, you can say that Radagast the Brown was from the Silmarillion, but I don't... This interaction that he and Gandalf are constantly having, I simply don't remember from the Silmarillion. And
That part's super tacked on. I mean, I know why he put it in there consciously.
Yeah.
Like, he wants to draw it all together into, like, a giant 6-movie series, but that is the most forced of anything he did, I feel.
I've actually read the Silmarillion, and the Lord of the Rings takes place in about 3 pages in the Silmarillion. In the discussion, I had a similar rant to this one on the Focus and Fury podcast. So if you want to hear even more righteous indignation with me being even less objective than I'm being right now, go to Focus and Fury and listen to the episode that I show up on. And it is... We actually had an interesting idea. What if, instead of doing what Peter Jackson did, if he wanted to do the money grab, what he could have done was, instead of making the Hobbit 3 movies, he could have made it 2 movies, and then done a 3rd movie out of the Silmarillion, but tell one of the Silmarillion's tales, because Sauron's not even the big bad of the Silmarillion. The big bad is his boss, Melkor. And Melkor they could tell Sauron's origin story, or his background story, from his perspective. Tell it from Sauron's perspective, working for Melkor, and showing the Maiar and the Valar working against Melkor in the Silmarillion. There are some amazing stories in the Silmarillion that could be told if they cared to, and I think that would have made a much more interesting 3rd movie, rather than inventing all of this stuff out of whole cloth. Now, the next movie is going to be friggin' amazing.
I think this is a good point to talk about the end of the Desolation of Smaug.
Oh my God!
Or more importantly, the non-end.
Can I call it the cock tease of Smaug?
Yes.
Is that totally legitimate? Because it is. It was the cock tease of Smaug, is what this movie was.
I laughed out loud.
So, once again, spoiler time. If you haven't seen it, turn it off right now. I'm giving you 5 seconds to turn this podcast off. That's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, they pull the plug on the movie just when it's going to get interesting.
Yeah.
We're all waiting for Smaug to burn down River City, or what do they call Laketown. Yeah, thank you. There's going to be trouble with a capital T, and that rhymes with D, and that stands for dragon. Right down in River City. No, Laketown. And then rolls the credits. And I think that was half of my outrage, was you took that away from me. There was going to be one more epic scene of epicness. And oh my God, they didn't have to save it for the next one. So they're going to open the next movie with the burning of Laketown. And then they're still going to have the Battle of 5 Armies.
I had always joked in the Fellowship of the Ring about stopping the movie right as Lurtz is pulling back his bow and about to, get tackled by Aragorn.
Mm-hmm.
Ready to shoot an arrow at Boromir, and stop the movie right there.
Yep.
That's why I thought that one should have stopped. If you're going to do, you're making 3.
Yep.
Who cares?
Yep.
Instead, they went the proper filmmaker route and actually gave that movie an ending.
Yes.
So why start now?
Because, yeah.
It's why Empire Strikes Back is one of the best movies ever, is because it has an ending, but still cliffhanger threads out there going, hey, what are you going to do about this?
Yep.
Grr.
Oh, God, yeah.
Grr.
That's fine. I'm good with Grr. See? You're coming around.
I still enjoyed the hell of the movie. I actually liked adding fan service and his chickie friend Toriel in there.
That was total fan service. That was some of the most egregious fan service I've ever seen.
I enjoyed the heck out of it, though, and actually, I thought she did a fine job.
She was amazing. I don't remember her in The Hobbit at all.
Yeah, she's not.
There you go.
But I thought she did a good job. I mean, nothing was overly sappy with her. Nothing was overly, it's like kind of cliche, but not like smack you in the face cliche. More like, it's a cliche.
It's a cliche, but it was also somewhat unrequited. I mean, they're a bit star-crossed, and I'm always down with star-crossed.
Yeah, it's like interesting. I thought it gave character, because as a modern story, there are too many characters in The Hobbit.
Yes, there are.
There are so many dwarves. I actually went on a rant with my wife. I'm like, this is an opinion that people may not share. Go ahead and crucify me for it if you like. The Hobbit, while being absolutely groundbreaking and being literally groundbreaking, too, it's not a literary masterpiece. As far as story goes, it's got a good framework of a story, but it's not enrapturing.
Okay, so Hobbit is my favorite of Tolkien's works.
The only one I could make it through. I haven't made it through Fellowship. It puts me to sleep sometime after Bombadil.
Fellowship's a piece of work. The Fellowship's not as hard to finish as the Silmarillion, but it is 350 pages of walking around.
It's also fair that I read before I go to sleep, so
yeah,
I have different requirements.
No, I gotcha.
It's drier than The Art of War. Let's put it that way. And The Art of War is pretty dry.
That's a hell of a commentary right there. I'm going to stop with regular Magnus right here, because I've got to mix up the bug juice and give him the bug juice treatment like I've been doing all of them. But I'm pretty happy with how he's turning out. He's going to be pretty cool when he's done. It's a great model. Christ, I like it. I love him. I haven't shown anybody the other models that I had intended to work on tonight. We're going to get back to the Hobbit, don't worry. I just wanted to... We've got 9 minutes left in the show, and I just wanted to cover a couple of topics. Here is my converted Epic Magnus, if I've never shown it on camera before. When my Stormwall came, he came with 2 right legs or something like that. And a buddy of mine sent me an entire lower torso that he had gotten extra or something. And so I took one of his feet and I said, I bet you that is exactly the correct stance for Epic Magnus. And as it turns out, it is.
Hey, you actually did that on one of the earlier episodes.
Okay, yeah, thank you for reminding me because...
It was hobbying with MenothJohn that day. You were in the basement.
So here we go. I've got a little more crack in here, so I should probably have some more from not remembering that.
Absolutely.
There, that's gone. Okay, so that's Epic Magnus, and he's going to get painted now. And then I'm going to do a Renegade, but I'm going to be using, on this one, guys, I'm going to be using the new Citadel colors, the Typhus Corrosion and the Risa Rust. And the reason I'm going to be doing that is these are paints that Citadel has come out with very recently that are designed to give very kind of special effectsy kind of looks. So the Typhus Corrosion has got a graininess to it, and it gives it kind of a muddy kind of a color. So that when you paint it, dry brush it then with the Risa Rust, what it's going to do is it's going to have that kind of bubbly look that a lot of rusty things have. And so that is going to be really neat. I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm going to do that on the Renegade because it's going to be one of his older Renegades maybe that he hasn't used, that he has been around for a while, that he's used and abused. So that'll be on that one. And I'm going to try and work on that a little bit this week. Maybe I can save some of the Typhus Corrosion and Risa Rust work for the next episode, or maybe
that might be good to show people how they work.
Yeah, there's some really good videos online, folks, from Citadel and Games Workshop on how those paints work. I'm very excited about them. I think they're going to really change the way that I do weathering, and I want to do weathering on my Earthbreaker. So I think that's going to be pretty cool. And then, so getting back to Smeo, also I'm going to put my boom hauler back out here. There's another paint that GW has come out with in this same line of paints called Blood for the Blood God, and it is a thicker red paint that is really excellent for doing blood effects. So I'm going to do some blood effects, I think, on the on Boom Howler here, and on his axe especially. So I think that'll be interesting. But before we get back to Smeo for the last 6 minutes, I want to let everybody know that next weekend will be the 1-year anniversary edition of Painting with MenothJohn. It was on New Year's Eve that this show was created, and it was my answer to not being able to get a date for New Year's Eve. And so I started painting Judicator, otherwise known as Bullwinkle, and it turned out awesome. So next week, I'm going to be working on my storm wall for Signar Jake, and he is going to be have the bad things happening to whelps theme continued. So I'm going to have a bunch of whelps on him trying to bring down the storm wall. We all know how that's going to work out. So I'll be working on the storm wall next week, and hopefully after that I will have. That's going to probably take a couple of shows because that thing is for realsies. And then the next big project on the table is to go after some of these models that I have to create. Oh, I've got a very special one for, if you remember Chris Olhafen from the, God, what was the name of, can't remember his...
Fallen Studios?
Fallen Studios, yep. Got back in touch with him over the last couple of days, and I'm building a very special Gorman de Wolf for him. And so I'll be working on the Gorman de Wolf coming up very soon, too. He had a painting exchange with a podcast that will remain nameless, he painted up a very beautiful chromac for, and they never sent him his Gorman de Wolf. So I'm going to make him a Gorman de Wolf special converted version and see what kind of a cool job I can do with it. So anyway, back to Smeo. So in general, my biggest complaint about the whole movie was that there was so much that was not even remotely related to the book. They had Bjorn in there. I thought that while the bear form was very, very cool, I didn't care very much for the delivery of the human form. I thought I know they were trying to give off a feeling that, a very alien, not human vibe with him. Maybe I'm nitpicking. One man's opinion. But
you can take him or leave him, in my opinion. Like, well, there he is. Okay. I
loved Bjorn from the book, and so I guess I had a little bit of that going on. But I gave it 1 shot of Kraken out of 5, and I'm pretty sure you're at a 4 out of 5 Kraken shots.
Wow, 4 out of 5 barrels.
Very nice. Well played. Well played. John, I think that's an episode.
It is.
My gosh, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring the music up. There we go. So I've been using the Bob Ross theme for some time now, and YouTube has figured out that I'm using the Bob Ross theme. So now if you try to watch Painting with MenothJohn on mobile, God bless you if you're trying to watch this 90-minute show on your mobile phone. If it means that much to you, I can't really actually help you that much. But so if you watch the show on your mobile, you won't be able to watch the show on your mobile because I'm using copyrighted music, I guess. Whatever. Anyway, so John, anything else for the folks in the chat room?
No, that's it. It's a good night, guys.
I super appreciate all the people that listen to the show. I want to thank Nate for coming in and watching tonight. He's still with us. I want to thank all the usual legends. Thanks Nevin Dar. Thanks Tad Go. I didn't see Edifo tonight. A little sad. We've got Punstar in the house. We always see him. Red Painter. Oh, he did? Good. I'm glad he was in the show. I rely upon you, John Spencer, to help keep us honest here on Painting with MenothJohn. But if I haven't mentioned your name, please don't think that I don't love you just as much as I love everybody else, because here on Painting with MenothJohn, let's face it, it's all about the peoples. So I want to thank you, John, for being the co-host with the host. And next week there will be a show, and it will be the 1-year anniversary. So try to bring a little something extra to the chat room as far as what you might be drinking. We'll have lots of updates as far as beverage updates. And I want to hear about what you all got for Christmas. And I really wish you all a wonderful, Merry Christmas, or a happy holiday, or Merry Festivus, or whatever you want to celebrate. We love them all here on Thinking with MenothJohn. And until next week, I wish all the brush heads all the love. Good night, and see you next week.